Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. Welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. It turned into Vincent Price. It was supposed to be the Crypt Keeper. My name is Dan.
My name is Jack.
We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever.
Wait, I got one. Welcome to the podcast. Just body.
I got it, yeah.
For pod.
But hey, everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, Simpsons Podcast. This is a special Octoween episode of the show for Halloween and for October, I guess, also.
Well, we did a Treehouse of Horror last October.
Yes, but we were just getting off the ground then. That was
And
only
then
our
we
fifth
realized,
episode.
because there's so many Treehouse of Horror episodes, we'd have to do 2 a year, so we started the Mayoween tradition.
Yes.
We celebrate Halloween in May.
Did someone say Mayoween?
It's old Dracula fingers.
No, he's a May character.
Then,
he won't be here today.
Yeah, now that we're celebrating Halloween, we're doing the radical notion of celebrating Halloween in October.
Yeah.
So obviously we have to call
Right
it
before Halloween, too, which...
So instead of Mayoween, we are celebrating Octoween.
Of course. It makes total sense when you explain it that way. So, hey, everybody. So we're here, and today we are going to watch a Treehouse of Horror episode. We're going to be watching Treehouse of Horror 22 from Season 23. It originally aired October of 2011. Jack, have you seen this one?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I
I
don't know if you've seen it either.
This one was recommended because the Homer talks by farting.
Yeah, so
that doesn't sound familiar
one
to
segment, I think it's supposed to be like the diving bell and the butterfly, where Homer farts to talk.
Maybe I did see this one.
And that is why I don't know who suggested it. We'll look that up and we'll come in with that later. But
I don't know. It's a shame. I think I've seen almost most of the episodes we cover on the show, and it's amazing how they just leave
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take a break and watch Treehouse of Horror 22. If you've never seen it, you should do that on
We're
SimpsonsWorld.com.
going to take a break. Breaking bones.
A break, though.
I can't do the scary puns.
Simpsons hurled? You know, it's tougher. You know, it seems so easy when he's doing it.
Yeah.
Just being like, you're dead. I don't know. I don't even know what this is. Cut all of this. This is just dreadful.
We'll cut all this with what that was. Triumph? I was doing Triumph.
That was Peter Stormare in Season 1 of Prison Break.
Well, hello, fish.
Now,
You're trying to break out of prison, fish?
you're going to need my help. I was in the Italian mafia. I don't know.
For me to poop on. Anyway, I was trying to do cut all this. Actually, is kind of you can turn that into a Tales from the Crypt pun because it's like murder.
We're cutting, yeah.
Cut you with a knife.
Cut all this with a knife. That was definitely Vincent Price. Come on, Jody. All right.
For me to poop on.
Guys, click through our Amazon.com links. Go to WePodcast.com. That helps support the show. And if you have not yet purchased our Sync Points #1, our Simpsons movie commentary, you can do that also WePodcast.com. There's lots of links to do that. $2, you get our commentary track. You can watch the movie with us and special guest Nick Noga.
And
who's
thank
our
you
guest
to everybody who has bought it already.
A lot more than we thought in the first few days there.
A lot less than we hoped, a lot more than we thought.
Yes, that's apt.
No, that's great.
apt.
We're going to maybe use that money to invest at some point in some better sound equipment.
Or a solid gold rocket car, let's be honest.
One or the other.
Okay, so we're going to take a break and watch Treehouse of Horror 22, and we will be right back.
I've got candy, skip to my loo, my insulin will spike, that's what it's gonna do. I'm gonna buy me some diabetic shoes, skip to my loo, my... What the...
Soul!
Soul!
Like
you've sold your soul
to the devil.
To the devil.
That was Treehouse of Horror 23, XXI. 22, XX.
Aye.
Captain.
Sideshow Mel!
That's as if we're just going to say Sideshow Mel as Sideshow Mel.
Yep.
I don't know if in the history of the show Sideshow Mel ever actually said Sideshow Mel, but
I don't think he did.
He did on this show.
He sure did.
All right,
Thanks
kids.
for being here, Mel.
Buckle
the
in.
actual person.
Buckle in for an hour of this.
An hour of this? I thought you were doing it. So we're going to start over.
It's hard to do Sideshow Mel when I'm not looking at you.
It is, yeah.
Making eye contact.
Yeah.
But there it is. So instead of a plot recap, why don't we just do one at a time? Bang them out?
Let's just do it. Yeah.
So, like your typical post-classic modern Treehouse of Horrors, this basically has 4 segments. It has the classic 3 and a whole opening that leads into the opening credits.
Yeah.
In this case, the first one is a parody of 127 Hours, although it uses the psycho music.
Yeah, there's a psycho twinge to it. It's just the very end is 127 hours.
So, real quick plot recap. Basically, Homer wants to eat all the candy that they're supposed to donate to the the Marines,
troops for the candy.
troops.
Candy for the troops, not troops for candy.
He goes to candy eating peak, I guess.
Yeah.
To eat the candy in solace. He falls down a cliff, and it's a parody of 127 Hours where he gets pinned.
Yeah. Before it was the movie parody, I was like, why the hell is he going to like the middle of nowhere a cliff?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Sense,
but just to explain what actually happens, he's trapped under the rock, and the candy is just out of reach, and he's 20 minutes away from rescue. He can't wait that long, so he eats his arm off to get the candy. Turns out Bart swapped it for vegetables. Yeah. So that's that. So, yeah. First things first. Marge was a switch witch. What's going on?
But even before that, I do want to point out that the costumes were kind of interesting. Bart was an astronaut, just a plain old astronaut. Lisa was a saxophone with 2 hands on it, like disembodied hands,
Jazz
which I thought was kind of
hands,
creepy.
I
guess.
not jazz hands like where you shake your hands, but
I am always doing jazz hands. I'm shaking them right now. So anyway, Lisa's this weird jazz hands thing, and I really liked when Maggie bursts out of Bart's chest, and she's dressed as the alien chest burster from the Alien series. I thought that was really cool. And Marge was dressed as a very busty, sexy witch.
She sure was.
Which I don't know what to say about that. I honestly don't. I mean, just we've talked about the sexualization of Marge over and over. This wasn't really that.
Fine,
it was just
she's
sexing it up. It's Halloween. People do
dress up sexy on Halloween.
Every year I dress up very, very sexy.
I'm going to dress up as Sexy Jack this year for Halloween.
Nice. You're going to finally comb your hair and rub the sweet darts out of your beard.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I need to do.
So yeah, Marge was a switch witch.
I don't know what that is.
I had never heard of that until this morning, actually.
Really?
I was watching Shark Tank. Do you watch Shark Tank at all?
No, I hear good things.
I love Shark Tank. And it was, and it aired a couple of weeks ago at this point, where someone was trying to sell like a Switch Witch toy kind of thing. I was trying to sell them on this. You know, are you familiar with the Elf on the Shelf?
I've heard the phrase.
It's like this thing. It's like a book and this little plush doll. You put the elf on the shelf who reports to Santa Claus. It's basically a way to make your children, pushes them to compliance through paranoia because the elf is watching and he's going to report to Santa Claus. So this was
small brother.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So this on Shark Tank, someone was trying to sell a witch called a Switch Witch, and none of the sharks had ever heard of what a Switch Witch was. I'd never heard of what a Switch Witch was.
Count me a shark.
The thing that they said on the show, the people who created this said, basically, you take most of your kids' candy on Halloween night and you trade it in for a present that you give them, which seems to me to be completely defeat the purpose of Halloween. I'd rather have the candy.
That makes sense because it's too much candy to eat.
Yes.
And I guess, Yeah,
but kids are kids. They can eat candy.
I mean, the fun is just...
We can't have candy.
The fun is trick-or-treating.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it. I loved eating my tons of candy, but no, I could see that's kind of. Well, I'm not fundamentally against the idea.
None of the sharks went in for it, so sorry, Switch Witch people. Maybe your listeners. I don't know. Maybe we'll bankroll you with our solid gold
don't
studio.
Don't count me a shark then. So wait, Switch Witch is just.
But that's what they called it. They called it a Switch Witch, and they were like, I've never heard of this. It was just a plush witch that you just like have in your house.
And it's like, all right, I'm taking your candy.
I don't get it. Yeah,
and like you
turn the witch around.
Turn the witch around.
And that's it. It was just that was it. And I'd never heard of that until today. And then on The Simpsons, Marge is like, I'm a Switch Witch. I'm going to take your candy and like give it away. And I was like, oh my God, is this actually a thing? So I had never heard of it.
You should give it to like poor kids.
Well, that was weird.
Although, I guess if you're homeless, you can go trick or treating. It's probably the best time to get food.
How come homeless people don't trick or treat on Halloween and just be like, "Hey, I'm a vagrant"?
Yeah, just like you're not even being judged. You're not even being. Are you Forrest Whitaker? Can I have some candy?
I was in panic room.
Can you swip Robert Duvall's toupee around with your phenomenon powers?
Other Forrest Whitaker movies.
Exactly.
Vantage Point. That was one. That was not very good.
Terrible. Wait, remember the trailer? Wait, rewind.
Yeah, that was not a good movie.
No. I also like that. That was when Matthew Fox was breaking out from Lost and becoming a movie star. Or trying
he
to
didn't.
Be a movie
He
star.
didn't go so far. Didn't go so well.
But what's funny is he was already 40, 41 by that point, but he was playing like the hotshot rookie.
Yeah, right.
Which is what a breakout
agent,
actor would do. Like that's the role for him. But it's funny because he's 41 years old.
Yeah. Not so foxy then, Maddie.
Then he punched a woman in the stomach.
Wait, did he?
Yeah, didn't he?
In real life?
Didn't he punch a bus driver in the stomach and go to jail?
Is that why the bus never shows up? Because
Matthew Fox punched the bus driver. That's the bus driver.
That's why I've been waiting here for forever. I have to go home.
All right, Crypt Keeper. Dalek.
More like Dalek. Happy Halloween. I'll see you next year.
See you in May.
So
that's what the Switch Witch is.
That's what the Switch Witch is. And let's talk about the 127 hours thing. It was fine. They did a joke where Homer bites off the wrong arm.
Yeah,
which I actually thought was funny, but then they overdid it, I thought, because he also then bites off his leg.
Even that didn't bother me, but it bothered me, even though it shouldn't, because there's no logic, obviously, especially in a Halloween episode. It bothered me that he somehow sewed his arms and legs back on for, I don't know why they felt the need to do that.
It was an interesting visual to have, like, the bloody seam, I guess, where he had bitten off his arm. But, overall, it was kind of just whatever. Aaron Ralston, the actual person that...
The actual guy that
127 hours is based on. Yeah, he ate his arm for candy. That's the real story.
Kind of stupid. Don't know why they made a movie about him.
But he's actually the voice of the 911 operator that Homer dials up. He says, like, we'll be there in 20 minutes. That's his only line.
Cut off your own hand, you get a Simpsons cameo.
I don't know if you actually saw this in the end credits. He was credited as Aaron. I sold my right arm just to be on the Simpsons raw stump.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good.
That guy seems
he has a good sense of humor
that guy seems like a cool guy. Wouldn't want to go through what he went through.
No.
Well, maybe. I mean,
if it made the money and the fame
like
afterwards?
for the millions of dollars, maybe it's worth it. I mean, not at the time while you're doing it, and that sounds terrible. But in once you get through that, and now you're just like, hey, I'm a millionaire. My hand's back, right? It's back, or is he just got a stump?
It's not back. No, he has a stumpy
It didn't grow
arm
back.
Now. No, believe it or not, it doesn't. But we're gonna start a Kickstarter. If we get enough money, we're gonna lock you in a room for 127 hours.
See, that's the thing.
And then when it's over, we're gonna cut your arm off.
All right, as long as you do it. I can't do it.
I'm gonna do it for you. Yeah,
I can't.
As you know, I love causing pain to other people. Really makes me laugh.
I mean, I'm assuming he's got at least a few million now. He's probably.
I should hope so.
He's got the buzz. You would think he could get a pretty top of the line, cool prosthetic robot.
Yeah,
arm.
well, I don't. Maybe he has got one. The last time I saw him, around the time 127 Hours came out, 5 years ago, he had one of those metal claw arms because he was still rock climbing at that point.
I have nothing to really say about this 127 Hours. It did nothing. I didn't find it very funny. Don't know exactly what was going on with the Psycho soundtrack and him getting dirty.
Well, I guess it was it's the Psycho soundtrack, and I think it's the part where was it Janet
yeah,
Leigh?
she's driving.
Where she's driving, and she has the money before Norman Bates shows up.
Yeah, no.
So I guess that's what they're going. That's the one piece of a Hitchcock movie they hadn't referenced yet.
It wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't. I mean, they didn't. This is true of the episode overall. They don't say anything, and the parodies aren't. They're firing off gags as opposed to doing something the gold standard is obviously the Shining parody, which I think is just probably the best thing the Simpsons ever did.
I've gone back and forth on which of my favorite is which Treehouse of Horror is my favorite. I used to always say it was Treehouse of Horror 4 from season 5 with the Gremlin,
with the Gremlin, Dracula, and Homer Sells a Soul.
And Homer Sells a Soul. That was always I think it was just because I seen that one the most and at the time. If push comes to shove, it's probably definitely season 6.
Season 6, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's my favorite season period. So that's my favorite.
So you have Shinning, Time and Punishment, and
Nightmare Cafeteria.
Yeah. So that's probably my favorite.
I feel like every time we were doing a Halloween one, we're always talking about The Shinning, but it's so fucking good.
It really is.
And it's because it works if you've seen The Shining. It's like a great parody.
Yeah.
They parody specific shots and specific moments, and it's funny.
Yeah.
It works as a Simpsons episode and a Shining parody. And if you haven't seen The Shining...
Which I didn't until I was like 20 years old.
Me too. And if you haven't seen The Shining, it's just funny. It's just great. Like, you pick up what they're doing. I don't think you could say the same about the Avatar parody at the end of this episode, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's a good point. I just want to, real quick, I don't think, maybe I've mentioned this on the show before, but I love the first original Treehouse of Horror. It's in my top 2 or 3.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's so brilliant. I think the haunted house one is like I think it might be the best season 2 episode. It's because I think it's like as funny as a season 6, season 7.
I will say that segment has one of my favorite underrated Simpsons moments. And it's when they find out that the house has been built on the Indian burial ground, and he calls up and he's like, "Mr. Plute, you didn't tell me that this house was built on an Indian burial ground." Well, that's not my recollection. All right. He says he mentioned it 5 or 6 times. I love that whole thing.
I love that. I love... I think the Bad Dream House is just a brilliant... I love the shot of them all just like following each other with the knives.
Yeah.
I love the vortex, and then I love the alien episode is great. The Kang and Kodos. It's where they originated. I think it's just funny. I really think it's the funniest. It's so for an early season 2 episode. It's amazing how funny it like.
I agree. It holds up very, very well. Time.
And then the Raven, I think, is just
the Raven,
fucking cool.
Yeah,
like it's just first of all, I mean, yeah, it's a very famous poem, and it's Edgar Allan Poe, and it's like it's not real poetry. I'm not a poet expert, but like a poem expert.
You're not.
Yeah, but like so it's the kind of poem that like a 16-year-old person's like, oh yeah, I'm totally into poetry. The Raven, Yeah. So it, like
I'm bleak and my soul is dark.
It's not super deep, but it's still so cool that you're watching an animated poem on network television and
narrated by James Earl Jones.
And then James Earl Jones just
he's
nails it out of the
cherry
park.
on top.
And then there's just it's funny too. What little parts of it is funny. Like Homer is like chasing the things.
Yeah.
And Bart as the Raven is just it's really fun. I don't know. I love the Raven. It's so.
I agree with you. I think it's
underrated.
Underrated.
I think it's like one of the 5 best minutes of television.
All right, so we're gonna pause the show right now. We're gonna rewatch Treehouse of Horror 1. Wow, you were right. That is a great episode. It's a solid one.
Dearest Marge, though my body cannot move, my heart still beats and my brain still brains. I miss holding you in my arms more than my butt can say.
So it's a high bar. Shinning, Raven, Bad Dream House, but
I think Diving Bell and the Butterball is right up there with all of them. Homer farts to talk.
All right,
let's do it.
Let's talk about this. A real plot recap.
Yes, okay.
Homer gets paralyzed by a spider bite. He can't move anything but his pupils, but he can also fart, so I guess he can also move his sphincter.
Yeah.
And
you'd think that they would use his eyes to communicate instead of his butt, because he is looking around and blinking.
Yeah. So he communicates. It's a parody of The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, which is a French film based on a true story about a guy who could only move his eye.
One eye.
Yeah, and he came up with this communication system by blinking. So in this one, Homer communicates by farting. And that's pretty much it.
Well, and then he gets bit by a second spider and turns into paralyzed SpiderMan. Yeah. But we'll talk about that. I've never actually seen The Diving Bell and the Butterfly.
Great film.
Yeah.
Introduced the world to the that French actor Matthew. Is it? What's his name?
That famous French actor Matthew.
Anyway, Matthew.
Was it Matthew Fox?
Matthew Fox, the French
I didn't know
actor.
he was French.
He punched a bus driver.
I was lost on the island.
And then he was surrounded by Buzz, and he became the new Bond villain. And then everybody was disappointed because he didn't have any crazy villain features like he didn't bleed or anything except his bug eyes, which are his normal eyes. So it was like, if you read in forums, it's really funny. He's like, no, the bug eyes, that's his thing. It's just like that's his super villain.
Wait, what actor was this?
What's his name?
Which Bond movie was he in?
Quantum of Solace.
That's the one I didn't see.
The head of Quantum, which was supposed to be the modern equivalent of Spectre.
Right, but now they're just doing
Spectre. And Whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see Quantum of Solace. Are we taking a break while you look this up?
No, we could keep talking. It's I've said it before. I think Quantum of Solace is very underrated. It's just, I mean, compared to Casino Royale and Skyfall, it's clearly not as good. Both of those movies are classics.
You got The Raven and Quantum of Solace. What else do you think's underrated, Jack?
Jedi, Return of the Jedi. Still,
no, it's way overrated.
Nope.
But we can talk about that on a separate podcast.
Not only is Return of the Jedi way underrated. The Ewoks in particular are also underrated. So they're cute and cuddly.
I am vigorously shaking my head no, listeners.
So maybe they were made for merchandising purposes. Who cares? They're still fucking awesome.
I would rather watch Attack of the Clones
than
Return of the Jedi.
Say that.
No,
nobody's going to take you serious.
That was a joke, obviously.
Everybody's going to take you serious.
I would rather watch Revenge of the Sith.
No, please. His name is Matthew Almeric.
All right, I don't know him at all.
Right. Well,
I didn't see the two movies he was in, apparently. Sorry, Matthew. But yeah, I don't think, having not seen Diving Bell and the Butterfly, this doesn't seem like a Shinning kind of thing, where now I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize this from The Simpsons,
right.
You know. At the end, does he turn into Spider-Man?
I mean, the fact that you haven't seen it, and you're a little bit more in the know than your average Mom and Joe America.
Your average, yeah.
So
your average dummy, listening to this.
You would think, you're not super into art house movies or foreign films, but you're into pop culture.
I get around.
You see the award season movies. You go to
I
the
saw
art house.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, you've seen Ant-Man. You see the indies sometimes.
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm not surprised my mom would never have heard that movie.
Right.
The fact that you haven't seen that movie tells me a lot of people probably that just never. A lot of people who watched the Simpsons episode didn't see that movie.
Right.
Which stresses your point that.
But it was very much in the culture though at the time, because it was up for Oscars. I think it was up for not even just Best Foreign Film.
I don't know. I feel like most people still would have very little knowledge of the movie.
People would know. There's a movie where a guy gets paralyzed. And
Some people. I feel like it would still even if everybody's talking about it, was all over the news. It's the type of thing that your brain just filters out if you're just not into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, to your point, it's not The Shinning.
No,
it's
definitely
kind
not.
of now. If you don't know anything about the movie, now you're just like, why is Homer farting all this time?
Yeah. Well, before we even get to the farts, the episode opens from Homer's frozen perspective. He's already paralyzed, and all he can do is open his eyes.
I think the film for the first 45, 50 minutes, I think the film is from just that one shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was gonna say that's a really visually interesting, but also kind of dark way to open it.
I was hoping they did the whole segment like that, which I think I was also hoping the whole movie was going to be like that, and eventually they finally cut away and they started treating it like a regular movie. I could be wrong. I haven't seen the movie in years. So I like that. So they cut to a flashback of how Homer gets paralyzed, and he's throwing out the Halloween decorations, or he's putting them up. I don't know what.
He's putting them up.
I like that he says that the house's natural squalor. Actually, this is the one time of the year. It works in their favor.
Yep,
I like that. It's a great working class
Simpsons
moment where it's like, oh, remember when they used to just be like blue collar family with a house falling apart?
Yeah, right.
Like an animated Roseanne.
Instead of people who go to space or whatever.
And then I also like so he picks up the real spider is in the box of decorations.
He thinks it's a rubber spider that's a decoration, but it's actually a real spider.
And he's like,
he goes squeeze. Boy, a real spider would sure hate this right now. Squeeze.
And I love the animation of the spider's legs splaying out as he squeezed them.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. I like that a lot.
And I also really like, so he gets paralyzed and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and he's paralyzed in a horrible position where his arms up and bent and his tongue is out, and he's just his face is all contorted. And I love he's like, at least I still look good.
Yeah, right.
I like that line.
Yeah, I like that too. And there was a moment where what they ultimately do is they get Homer up and put him on a gurney or what do you call those things?
Silence of the Lambs.
No, it's a dolly. It's a dolly. He's up on the dolly and he's up in front of the mirror, and Marge is putting a coat on him, and her boobs go right into his face, and he's like, "Whoa, cleavage!" Well, I actually like that.
He's saying, he's talking very romantic, oh, the love of my life. She's so warm and loving and romantic. Ooh, cleavage.
Yeah.
Which makes it that much funnier.
I liked that.
It was okay. I really liked the animation of his eyes.
I love cleavage jokes.
I think you just say I love cleavage.
Hey, you said it, not me. So my wife can't get mad. It was all Jack, baby. It's all Jack, baby. Again, this will be the one moment that she walks in Are you listening to yourself again? And then she'll be like, what did you say about me?
I love cleavage and I hate my wife.
I didn't say that. Love her very much.
It's me, Dan. Obviously, you know my voice.
It's me, Jack. Which one of us is the real Jack? Who do you shoot?
What? Like, I know what you're doing, but what?
I don't know. This episode's getting away from us.
This podcast got away from us right around episode 14, 17.
Yeah. The first appearance of Hemus, I think, was the death knell of We Podcast.
The death knell of We Podcast was, it's me, Hemus.
I'm Hemus. What are you doing here, Hemus, too? Or Bleemus? Or
Bleemus, I believe, is Hemus's brother. They were waiting for the bus, but Matthew Fox punched the bus driver.
Sorry. So they're lost now.
Stop. Rewind.
I love that we keep making references to Vantage Point, a movie no one remembers.
No, but I'm sure it's
rightfully so.
The trailer, although they probably don't even remember that.
Rightfully so, because it was a terrible movie.
I liked the line. So I like the animation of Homer's eyes especially when Lisa is reading Dostoevsky to him.
Yeah.
And basically he's in this awkward, contorted position and he can't move. And you just see it's such great animation and it's communicating so well with just his eyes.
Right.
To the audience, like how he's like, oh my God, she's reading this boring book. And I thought it was really funny. And it's funny how smart and great the animation can be in this visual language.
Yeah.
And how clever they can use such a simple concept. Which is ironic that this is in an episode where he communicates by farting.
Yes.
And it just shows you that like the show can still be brilliant and it's not even hard. You're just moving his pupils around, but it works. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple, but it's still clever. It's still smart.
Doesn't all have to be farts, guys.
Yeah. So I guess we should talk about the farts. I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it either. It's lower brow than The Simpsons usually is. They don't usually do a lot of fart jokes.
So let's say...
this is a very South Park thing to do. I can see them doing it.
Let's be clear. Farts can be very, very funny.
Very, very funny.
I remember I had a conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Tom. We used to walk home from school together. We lived in the same direction. I remember we were having a conversation. Pope John Paul II was still alive at the time. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about whether he would laugh if somebody farted. Like if you were in the room and like somebody farted, would he chuckle?
I gotta go, yes.
And that's what we were saying. It's like he seems like he's a cool, down to earth guy.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, maybe compared to Francis, like Francis would slap his knees.
He'd fart back.
Yeah, he'd fart back.
I do it too.
It's our new bus stop character, farting Pope Francis.
Hey.
Farting Francis.
Yeah, I'm farting Francis the Pope.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy.
Jack's movies.
Farting Pope Francis is the mascot of my production company, Jack's Movies.
He's the boy. He's the farting ass.
He's the farting ass. It's like it's the
divine ass.
That's my production logo.
There you go.
It's Pope Francis's ass farting out the words Jack's Movies.
Is this enough to get excommunicated? It might be.
I mean, I'm not Catholic, so I'm not too concerned.
I was sort of.
You were before this podcast.
I was before we started recording.
No, farts are funny.
Farts are funny,
Pope Francis obviously finds it funny. Pope John Paul probably did before he died. So farts can be very funny. You're right, though. It seems like The Simpsons a little bit above that kind of.
Because the joke here is just it's funny that Homer's farting.
Yeah, you're right.
They don't do anything more with it.
South Park really will make it funny. Just the sound and the visual.
Yeah, and they'll make it satirical somehow. Like,
I mean, one of my favorite gags is when Butters is the dog.
Yeah,
and the kettle. The dog just shits all over him, and it's just so like the timing of the farts is so funny.
Yes,
it's just that. And like The Simpsons, you're right. It just doesn't quite fit what The Simpsons is. Right. But who are we to tell The Simpsons what it is when we keep saying it's the later seasons? They should try different things. So sure.
That's true. It seems like you could do a little bit more than just farts for like the farts themselves are supposed to be funny.
Yeah. No, farts can be very funny. It's so the show can do it. I feel like it's not right for us to say, oh, don't do this because it's not. I mean, for us to
look. It's just that this show used to be the gold standard for great satire.
Yellow standard.
I like it. Like what you're doing. But no, it really did used to be the gold standard, the yellow standard for satire, and this was just
That's a good point.
farts.
Yeah.
Like that is the joke. There's no other level to it. It's
the
just
best
farts.
thing about The Simpsons in its heyday is that it could combine highbrow and lowbrow jokes one after another. Like you just switch and switch.
Yeah.
And they could mix them so well, and it's weird to see the story based on a lowbrow as like the proportions seem to be off.
Yeah, I agree. There was one line related to the farting that I did think was really funny. He writes this very, he's able to fart, and they do much like I assume they do in The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, where Lisa...
He doesn't fart much in Diving Bell and the Butterfly.
Okay, well, I'm never seeing this movie now. But where Lisa's spelling things out letter by letter, and by that method, Homer writes this very beautiful letter to Marge, and it ends with, "For further communication, I will require more beans."
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
That was okay. I also liked his book title. It was like 10... Pleasant Walks of Madrid or something.
Yeah, imagined by Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
That was something.
I also so then they have this weird non sequitur Spider-Man thing at the end.
Yeah,
he gets bit by another spider. I'm assuming you also assumed with me when I was assuming that the spider,
royal you assumed
the spider was going to cure him. And he was going to move again, and that was going to and then he was going to be like, oh, maybe I would have been a better communicator.
I actually did know that this ended with a Spider-Man parody, so I was expecting this.
So the spider gave him Spider-Man powers, but he's still paralyzed. It's such a weird concept.
It is weird, and here's my question to you. I didn't see Diving Bell and the Butterfly. It's not a spider bite, right? Isn't it some kind of accident?
He does not become Spider-Man at the end of Diving Bell and the Butterfly.
Definitely not seeing
it. It is a prequel to Quantum of Solace. That actually is how he gets his bug eyes.
Very good.
Actually, Matthew, if you're listening, sorry about the bug eye comment.
There's no spiders in Diving Bell and the Butterfly, right?
I think it's a car accident.
Yeah, so it's weird
Again, I think it's based on a true story, too.
So yeah, he's bitten by the spider, and it's such a weird thing because they arbitrarily picked a spider to get into this Diving Bell parody, and then they're just like, oh, I guess once we got a spider, we may as well do a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's a really weird combination.
Right. It also felt like, all right, we don't know how to end this segment. We have a minute to kill.
Right.
And then literally the last thing I would think is, okay, let's make him paralyzed Spider-Man.
It's a funny idea that instead of getting cured, he's given these spider powers, but he's still completely paralyzed.
And to be honest,
that's an interesting idea.
Exactly, because you're always trying to look for more diversity in comics. Now you have Muslim superheroes and
Ms. Marvel.
Gay superheroes and alcoholic superheroes, and it would be cool to see there is a paralyzed superhero. There was Oracle.
Professor
X, yeah. But for like a quadriplegic or a literally can't move anything but your sphincter in your eye. Yeah.
All right. We're writing a comic. A guy who can only move his sphincter in his eye.
Sphincter man.
Stinkeye. 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 That's it. Patent pending. We're writing it. We're going to do it.
It's a bird. It's a plane.
What's that smell?
Brought to you by
Jack's Movies.
Get Pope Francis on the horn. Tell him to get over here right now. I know he's just in New York, but he needs to get back. We are doing this.
Come on back, Frankie.
Pope Francis in Stinkeye. So I know he's my logo guy. But
now he's also the star.
Also going to play Stinkeye
of the film adaptation of our comic book Stinkeye. I love it.
I know he's trying to appeal to youth.
Yeah. What's more popular than superhero movies?
Come on,
done.
Francis, we're waiting for your call.
He's really Catholic, and he can only use his sphincter and his butthole. It's the same thing. But...
and his eye.
Yes, his eye hole, and his butthole. Delightful. Yeah, so the end of this segment is kind of just a joke about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, which at the time was going through a lot of problems, and a bunch of 5 actors were hospitalized with injuries. I guess they probably thought of tying it into that since that was in the news at the time, and it's like, they could have gotten paralyzed. Maybe that's how Spider-Man got into it. Maybe. It was really just tacked on. It wasn't very good. It was just
one of their topical jokes. So I didn't really care for the Spider-Man. It was delightfully weird, but no, it wasn't really delightfully weird. It was just weird. But I did love Wiggum's line where he goes, they say no two ass webs are alike.
Right. Homer farts out webs now, too.
And it's such a dumb line. And I see what they're doing where they're trying to make it sound like this very poignant line, but it's ass webs. But Azaria sells it. It's just, it is so funny.
True.
They say no to ass webs, or like, and the phrase ass webs is just great.
That's actually the part of the episode that makes the most sense because spiders actually do create their webs. You know, it's like a butt muscle that does it. Like Peter Parker should be like pooping out webs.
Maybe he does. That's not really what you want to see.
Well, wait until I'm writing Spider-Man. That's all you're gonna see.
What about Stinkeye?
We're gonna have a crossover.
Creative controls.
Absolutely.
The Stinkeye Spider-Man crossover.
It's coming, 2020.
Hey Spidey, what is it?
You got me again, Stinkeye. I'm also the Pope.
Patty and Selma. Who's next? Then Flanders?
Now, how would that work?
So, the Dexter, the second segment is a parody of Dexter, where Flanders.
That's what I was gonna say. It's kind of a parody of Dexter.
It's using the music of
It uses
Dexter.
the music of Dexter and the overall
and the
idea.
theme song, but it's I guess it's really nothing. It's
Yeah.
more Homer's tricking Flanders into killing Homer's enemies, and Homer's tricking him by pretending to be God.
Right.
Using
Which Bart basically did to Rod and Todd many seasons
with
prior.
the same kind
with
of
the same idea.
wireless,
Yeah.
But the what's it called? The
Radio mic.
I can't remember the name of it.
The superstar microphone. Is that what it was?
Right. Convoy. So
Hey, good looking. We'll be back later.
So I think it's a great idea. I don't think it was very particularly funny.
Yeah, I think this was probably the worst segment of this episode.
No, I think maybe
The
I don't
Avatar
know.
one?
Maybe, I guess, I don't know.
Because this one, they didn't do like this was a very weak story.
It's funny because at the beginning, I was so into the tone. I thought they were doing such an interesting tone with this, like the dark, gritty streets of Springfield and like Flanders'
that was
voiceover and Flanders driving, and it was noirish. It's
Right.
like, this is so cool, and then they immediately ditch that.
And then it's just Flanders
And
Homer's
Homer
controlling
dumb
him.
jokes.
It's just a
again
Homer
another
Flanders
short
thing.
story. I feel like both of these stories really were shortened to make room for the longer intro and then
the Avatar parody
one
is
seemed
very
pretty
long. Yeah.
So, I was disappointed because I liked the tone. I liked what they were doing with it at first, but they went nowhere with it, except in that one opening scene that I really liked the tone. There was this really weird joke that I hated, where he talks to a prostitute and tells her to get off the street.
I don't know what that was.
So
Yeah. She says,
have I lost my...
No, even before that, he says you should spend less time on your back and more time on your knees, which is kind of a funny line. He means praying, but obviously it can mean something else.
I thought they were going to do a follow-up line to like nail that joke home.
Yeah.
Like she's like,
But
oh,
they don't.
I am on my knees or something. No, they ignore that. They do something
ignore
completely
that.
different.
Yeah, and instead she says, maybe I'm losing my beauty. I should teach.
Those who can't do, teach.
And then she goes to the Yale School of Prostitution. And it takes like 20 to 30 seconds. And it's not anything.
Like, who wrote
what
that?
is
That's
this?
like a 5-year-old writing. Like,
I thought
and
maybe
then
there
she
would be
goes
a
into
payoff
school
later.
that says prostitution school.
I thought maybe like there'd be a payoff where
Yeah.
she comes back and saves Flanders or something at the end. I don't know, like they do something with it. No, it's just this weird joke about prostitutes.
And it's literally just the Yale School of like what? What?
Yeah, because Yale is a fancy school. Why would they teach prostitution?
Like what?
I don't know
That's
what
not
it
even a
is.
first draft. Like I don't know.
I know, that's a no draft joke.
That's no more complicated than just writing on a piece of paper, put in joke about teaching prostitution. Like,
But why? Nothing else is about prostitution. Like, it's funny to
I
have
don't know.
Flanders interacting with a prostitute, but you kind of, you had a good line with the
Yeah.
knees thing. End it.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Then they do.
But before that, there was just one quick thing that I like. I want to point out the things I actually liked. Flanders is driving through the gritty streets of Springfield, and one of the things he passes a few different things, but one thing he passes is Apu is in a back alley, I guess behind the Quickie Mart, and with a sign, a machine that says hot dog maker, and it has a zebra, a telephone pole, and I think an elephant are all in it,
and a whale
being made into hot dog. There was a whale.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was
good
great
visual
hot
gag.
dog jokes on the Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
Groundskeeper Willie, Chalmers, hot dog jokes.
Those are Willie is a little touch and go nowadays, but
I like the Dexter parody. So then after that scene, it does a parody of the Dexter theme song with the same music. And
I don't
the
watch
same...
Dexter. I've never seen it.
No,
So.
I like Dexter, so maybe I'm a little biased. I also love the soundtrack to Dexter. So the Dexter parody. So yeah, I'm a little partial to the music. Maybe that's also why I really like this parody. It wasn't particularly funny, but it was well done. The parody, the theme song does like zoom in on everyday things that look like murderous serial killer things.
I just thought, the premise of Dexter is that he was adopted, right? Or whatever it was. His father knew he was going to be a serial killer, so he trained him only to kill bad guys.
Just stupid, but
It's just whatever. But here, like, Flanders is Dexter. That's a good idea, because if you're going to take, like, somebody who's as good as he can be, it's obviously going to be Flanders.
And that's why I like the tone at the beginning, because I thought he was going to be killing bad guys because he's doing God's...
Which is sort of what it was.
Yeah, but I like the idea. I like the idea of him deciding to do it. Like, I didn't, before we knew that God was talking to him.
Yeah.
And you don't know right away that it's Homer, but we pretty much guessed it. But even before you even know God's talking to him, I thought it was just going to be like Flanders decided, to become a serial, like the Punisher, basically, where you're killing bad guys.
That's a much better idea.
It's such a great idea.
I really did not like that the fact that it's just like, oh, Homer is telling Flanders to kill people and pretending to be God. Which Homer, is he just like an asshole and just wants to kill a bunch of people, but doesn't want to get his hands dirty?
Pretty much, yeah.
So that's okay. This is a bigger point that I wanted to bring up. It seems like these later season Halloween episodes are more. They play a little looser with the reality and the continuity.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because it's the older Halloween episodes, it was the normal show except for this one thing. Like, it's the normal Simpsons, but aliens come and take them up into the ship.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like, this one, like, Homer's a terrible person, even in season 23.
The characters are different. You're fundamentally different.
He wouldn't like, actually want to kill Patty and
right.
Selma.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, you're right.
They were either completely crazy, like
you were taking the same characters and putting them in a supernatural or whatever.
Right, Nightmare Cafeteria is a perfect example. Like everyone is Principal Skinner is still Principal Skinner. It's just he develops a taste for human flesh, and that's the one change that leads to everything else.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now I see what you're saying. Why? Like so, Homer is just spontaneously.
Yeah. Homer has just decided I'm going to control Flanders using a Bible and pretend I'm God to kill Mr. Burns.
We said this on one of the Halloween episodes too. I also think the modern ones are a little bit more like cynical, and they're a little more freewheeling with murder and stuff. The first besides Nightmare Cafeteria, obviously, which was the point. It wasn't so much people would die, but it wasn't let's kill this character brutally.
Yeah.
And like I said, it started kind of with Hell to Pay, where Homer just starts killing Snake. Really starts brutally.
But even that's
people.
Not as bad because Snake is a bad guy. We've never seen him murder people before, but
he's
also from beyond the grave there.
I wouldn't mind if Flanders had just arbitrarily, for the point of this episode, had become a killer, because it makes sense with his character.
That makes sense. So if they didn't need the Homer explanation, like literally make it that Flanders maybe lost his mind and just thinks God is talking to him.
His wife's dead.
Yeah, we'll talk about the wife thing in a moment.
But he's whatever, his grief and
that's the one thing that changes here, and now Flanders is killing for God.
Right. Yeah,
that makes total sense.
And you could bring Todd and Rod into it, and what if they find out, or what if he trains? If you're gonna do a Dexter parody, what if he trains Rod and Todd how to kill some,
that's a much better idea.
He kidnaps Krusty, and I mean, maybe that's too dark. I don't know, too sophisticated.
Well,
maybe
but if you're doing a Dexter parody, maybe make it that like Rod starts to have tendencies of like serial killer, and he's like, I can't stop this, but like exactly like Dexter.
Flanders is picking,
and then it's just Dexter in Springfield.
If we have to kill somebody, who will we kill? And then logically, the last victim would be Homer.
Okay, that's a much better episode than what we get.
Yeah, what a shame.
I mean, we're biased since we just thought of it.
But they blew it. All right, so real quick, I want to talk about some specific things from this episode. They do a joke where God's talking, and he says, now if you'll excuse me, a hip-hop star is thanking me at the VMAs.
Well, but it's not God. It's Homer talking to pretending to be God.
I'm just sick of fucking jokes about rappers thanking God. Yes, they do it a lot. Yes, it's a little silly.
It's just
but
nothing to me.
It's such an easy joke. Like it's such a it's almost like it's the modern version of "Take My Wife, Please." Like it's just right. Just come on, you can do better than that.
It's very old at this point.
It's just so lame. I like he kills somebody in a museum and the blood spray lands like on a
Jackson Pollock. Yeah. I thought that was
a fun idea.
I liked that. You're right. I also liked when he kills Mr. Burns. First of all, Mr. Burns' head just like pops right off, which I thought was kind of interesting. Maybe it's because he's so old and brittle. But he throws his head into the lake, which Mr. Burns had just polluted with toxic waste, and Mr. Burns grows a third eye right away. I thought that was pretty cute.
There was a movie I saw once about a lake that got polluted.
If you haven't seen that movie, buy our wee commentary for the Simpsons movie, where pig crap pollutes a lake, and that, for some reason, gets Homer in trouble.
Give us your money.
We want the money. Give us the money.
Again, they do this whole point where they're setting up, Mr. Burns is evil. He's polluting the thing. This is a righteous kill. And then,
Right.
like, so what? That has nothing to do with it's just Homer doesn't like his boss.
Right.
So it's weird. Like they were almost setting up this other story, and then they
just
decided
don't
to set
follow
to-
through with it.
I don't know. It's so stupid.
That's why I think this was the weakest one. It was just like a
you're
bunch
right,
of stuff
you're right,
happened in this episode. Like that scene where he kills Patty and Selma, and it's just a straightforward Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner thing.
Halloween
Which has come up a lot on this show for some reason.
And a Treehouse of Horror episode especially, that's a great time to have fun with the animation and
Right.
do a straight up like Tex Avery,
Well, they
Wile
did
E.
one
Coyote
like that,
parody.
the one where they had Itchy and Scratchy, or
Yeah,
where Bart and
yeah.
Lisa went into
Into
Itchy
the
and
TV,
Scratchy,
yeah.
which was a pretty good one from I think season 12 or 13.
Yeah, it's a little later.
Like they did that kind of
yeah.
thing
And-
pretty well there.
and-
This is just one scene.
And to do a straight up like the desert landscape, and that's fine. Does not belong in the segment. It
No.
does not belong there.
Because this was a pretty, like you said, it starts off with the dark, brooding
Yeah.
streets of Springfield, and this is just a completely over-the-top, cartoony parody of a Tex Avery, Chuck Jones kind of thing.
Halloween episodes is where you have fun and do this kind of stuff, but you still gotta make it make sense. Like you said, the Stay Tuned parody, or even where Willie is Freddy Krueger and Homer is dreaming that he's in a cartoon.
Yeah.
And come on,
Yeah, I
it
agree.
just makes sense. So Homer shows his list of enemies that Flanders has been killing, and like Patty and Selma and Burns.
Yeah.
Sideshow Bob is one of them. Since when is Sideshow Bob one of Homer's
I have
enemies?
no idea,
Like,
yeah.
yes, he's technically tried to kill him as well because he's been in
Right, the
Bart's
Cape Fear episode.
vicinity.
Yeah. But not-
if anything, he tried to kill what's her face, Selma.
Selma.
So
Yeah.
if anything,
You would
he
like
should-
Sideshow
yeah.
Bob. Homer just killed Selma.
That's just the logic.
Yeah. There was one thing I like where we see Homer on the microphone talking to Flanders, and Bart comes in and he goes, "Oh, hey, Bart. I mean, Jesus."
I like that.
I thought that was funny.
I like that. That was funny. I think it was.
It didn't make sense in
Yeah.
context, but it's a good joke.
Right,
If Homer's
right,
pretending
right.
to be God, Bart would be Jesus.
I like that line. I actually think the funniest line of the segment was probably when Marge walks in on him or is talking to him. And she says, what are you going to do? Have him kill Flanders?
Right, and
or he's-
Homer's like, "How would that work?"
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She's like, "Who's gonna die next, Flanders?" And he's like, "How would that work?"
Yeah.
Because Flanders
Flanders is
gonna
the
kill-
killer,
And I
but
love
yeah.
that Homer's just saying that out loud. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to explain the joke.
Yeah,
but,
we got it. So then it ends with Flanders finds out.
Yeah, but we don't see him find out.
We don't see him find it at all.
Isn't that
Flanders just
weird?
walks in and is like, "I knew it was you," and it's just like,
Wasn't
okay,
that weird?
Yes.
Like, they just like, all right,
There's no story here at all.
You get the sense they don't give a shit either. Like when they're writing it, like, yeah. Flanders finds out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, and then Flanders finds out, and it wraps up.
Oh, the butler did it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't like.
you're right.
They don't give a shit,
No, and
and it shows.
it does show. And then
So yeah, this ending. So
Homer burns the Bible that so Flanders had a Bible that had a radio in it that Homer was using to communicate with him, and then Homer
I didn't even
burns
realize it was coming through the Bible. Yeah.
Homer burns it, and he's like, if God exists, is he gonna mind? Because you're not supposed
Right.
to burn a Bible, as
Yeah.
Pope Francis could tell us.
If you burn the Bible, you know who's gonna come get you,
Stinkeye. I'm gonna give you the Stinkeye.
and then fart on you.
So
don't burn that Bible.
Nope,
You
do
don't
not.
want. You don't want to have like 8 seconds of poo smell wafting in your general vicinity.
Oh, they're 10 seconds with Stinkeye. They're very potent. Yeah, so instead of Stinkeye coming in, the actual ending of this episode, God comes in.
Yeah.
God lifts the roof off the Simpsons house and starts
Which he's
choking
wont to
Homer.
do.
So he starts choking Homer, which I thought was clever. Like,
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of Homer choking Bart, God
exactly.
chokes Homer. And then,
It goes mouse, cat, dog,
yeah,
Homer, God.
yeah. But then God is like, they're like, "Oh, can't you just change everything back?" And he's like, "I suppose I could. I have to check with the man downstairs." And then the devil appears, and it seems that the devil is actually in control of the entire
So
universe,
I actually,
which is a very bleak ending.
Yeah, as shitty as the segment is, I love how subversive it is.
Yeah,
and
that's
again,
a-
The Simpsons is a mainstream show on a network television, and and they've always had great religious satire. And I wouldn't say this is biting satire, but I
Right.
love that they can pull this kind of shit. It's like I'm not a militant atheist. I'm an agnostic. First of all, I'm not an atheist at all.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, I feel like I'm leaning a little bit more towards atheism than I used to. But I'm an agnostic.
Yeah.
I'm not fundamentally I'm not militaristic. I don't want to give people shit for religion. I have my problems with it, but I also do think it does some good. I'm not like in the Sam Harris camp when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Sam Harris isn't all that bad. It's mostly.
I love listening to his podcast.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I just finished one of his books, so.
So anyway, it's not like I'm like, yeah, take religion down, but it is such a powerful institution, and it has such a unfortunate hold on so many people that I do like to just see it taken down a peg or just subversive things. So I just loved that Homer starts to burn a Bible. Like just seeing the
that was
just seeing that
very
seems
edgy.
Like,
it felt.
Yeah, exactly.
Even in 2011,
like
when
South
it
Park,
aired.
I could see it, but to see it on Simpsons, I was surprised. They never actually burn the whole thing. He stops right away.
He singes it and then.
But then but then for the idea that God is actually second to the devil,
subservient to the devil. That is.
If you're making up this mythology where you just have these two supernatural things, and why is God let devil exist? Theoretically, it could be the point where maybe the devil does have more power than God. You can make anything up because it's all gibberish. Sorry, Pope. Please ignore these comments. My views will not reflect in the Stinkeye script.
Yes, of course.
So of course
we'll keep it Catholic.
We keep our
church and state separate.
Yeah, exactly. Our church and has.
Yeah.
Our church and Sphinct.
That's pretty good.
The separation.
We got there.
The separation of church and Sphinct.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
So anyway, so I thought it was really cool to see that idea played out on The Simpsons. It was just such a cool idea. It wasn't necessarily very funny.
It wasn't. It was an interesting idea that I was shocked to see. But then it went with a pretty dark way to end the episode, where the devil summons Maude Flanders, who is apparently in hell. She's dead in regular continuity on the show, and she seems to be banging the devil.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends.
It was just like an extra fuck you to Flanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was dark, but it's a Halloween episode, so they can get away with it.
Yeah, I agree. It's just not where I expected this Dexter parody to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, that him training Rod to kill people.
Yeah, that would have been much better.
Or Todd. What actually threw me about the Maude Flanders was the voice was different, and I know that's who did her original voice. Maggie Roswell?
I think it was Maggie Roswell.
And she left the show, and that's why they killed off Maude.
Right, but then she came back. Yeah.
So why was the voice still different? It didn't sound like it was Maggie Roswell. I'm assuming she was back by season 23.
She even say anything? I don't even remember her saying anything.
Yeah, she says something like, come back to bed, sweetie, or I don't know. She said something to the devil.
Yeah. At this point, we watched it 5 hours ago. So.
All this vantage point talk. But
stop. Rewind that.
Dennis Quaid, great actor. I love Dennis Quaid.
He is. His brother went nuts.
It's a shame.
It is. Hello, boys. I'm back.
You know what my big problem with that Independence Day scene is? I love that movie. They give him two going out badass lines. You can't get two. The timing doesn't work. He does "I'm back," and then again he goes, "As my generation says, up yours."
That's right.
He does two as he's storming into the ship.
It
doesn't make sense.
That's the stronger line.
You don't get two when you're blowing yourself up.
No, you don't.
You don't get two badass lines.
What else is wrong with Independence Day?
It's like you don't have Bruce Willis in Die Hard. You shoot the bad guy, and go yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and then 2 minutes later and go.
Also
take that.
You take this, mother farmer.
I also not excited about this Die Hard 6 plot idea.
No.
Prequel. So the Avatar parody. I like the idea. The title.
The title in the Navi.
Yeah,
that's what it's called. That was cute.
I was gonna say join the Navy.
Oh no, it's in the Navi.
In the Navi. Yeah, even though they're not the Navi, they're the
Rigelians.
Yeah, the Rigelians. Which I totally forgot. And I've seen this episode before, and I was as we were getting into the parody, I was waiting to see Bart come out with the blue Avatar. The Navi, I totally forgot that it was going to be.
It was, the Kangan Kodo
style. I don't know why I forgot, but again, that's how little impressions these episodes make.
I mean...
all right, first of all, I love the idea of Hilarium instead of Unobtainium.
Yes, it's just as ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
Title.
Except it's a Simpsons. It's allowed to be.
Yeah, just as silly.
So Unobtainium, so fucking stupid, but Hilarium, not stupid.
Not stupid in that it's a satire parody of Unobtainium. I did not understand why Krusty was the one directing them to get the Hilarium, and also Krusty was very old, and his head was on a different body for some reason.
I feel like there was a deleted scene we missed.
I don't think that had anything to do with actual Avatar.
I thought maybe the Hilarium was supposed to keep him young or keep him alive, but it's not. It's to get laughs. He even says it's for his audience.
Yeah, I don't remember Giovanni Ribisi having a different head.
And that's and
he was the guy in the movie.
He was the Giovanni Ribisi, or the Paul Reiser.
Yeah, right. Paul Reiser.
So it was weird that it was Krusty and not. I don't know who the Simpsons, the Springfield equivalent of Giovanni Ribisi would be.
Well, but it
would be Smithers.
Smithers,
the corporate drone.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, it would have been.
Should be Smithers representing Burns.
Smithers. Yeah,
Burns Co. Whatever.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But I don't know. Yeah, so A, why Krusty, then B, why he's on a fit body and his face was clearly sewn onto it.
Yeah, there were little hooks connected, and it was different color skin.
Yeah, we're trying to use the Reddit as our not just to make comments, but so we don't have to Google things. So guys on Reddit, please correct us. Let us know what the hell was that Krusty thing.
Yeah,
Or at least give us some
please
theories.
do. And Krusty
Don't
says he
put it in that subreddit that is Dan and Jack don't read this, because I'm not falling for it. I'm not looking in there.
You should. There's some little ditties in there about Jack and Dan. Okay, but I don't even know what to say about this.
Yeah, it's pretty run-of-the-mill parody.
It's a pretty straightforward parody of Avatar, but it's not like they don't do much with it other than just shove in jokes where Avatar didn't have jokes.
Milhouse was a very apt to play the nerdy sidekick role that was in the actual movie.
Right. Why were the bullies also Avatar aliens? Because Bart becomes an Avatar alien. And it's something. He says something about bullies, and then the bullies are also Avatar aliens.
The joke is that now he's got a big tough body. He can.
Right. Yeah. That was right. He can go beat up his bullies, but then they're also in Avatar bodies, and they beat up his human body and like throw a skunk on it.
I love that
that was
the
funny.
visual of them beating up an unconscious Bart body is
crippled
very
Bart
funny.
body because he's supposed to be like Jake Sully, and he doesn't have use of his legs. A lot of paraplegia in this episode. Also, Lisa was the scientist. She was basically the Ripley
Weaver.
role. Sigourney Weaver. I don't know why I couldn't think of her
Because
name.
Aliens is just better than
they have aliens.
Why
on
would
the
you
mind
watch
now.
Avatar when you could just go watch Aliens? Oh, they do. So Bart. Oh, what happens when? So now when they do the when you turn into your avatar and you go through that wormhole or whatever, they show Otto going by. The joke being, I guess, that. This is trippy. It's drugs.
I guess, but there's no point. Like, what the hell was that?
I don't know. And then Bart has sex, and they do it again, and now it's Jackie Mason reprising his role as
Rabbi
Krusty's
Krustovsky.
dad.
Why?
Say, you were a man now.
But why? Bart's not Jewish. I don't understand it at all.
Like, if I was Jackie Mason...
Why would you get Jackie Mason for this one line in your weird Avatar parody?
If I was Jackie Mason, I'd be like, I'm not driving downtown for that. Like, there's no justification for this.
We got traffic on the 101. I'm not going to take it. They just have the one line in an Avatar parody. I didn't even see it.
Then again, he did Caddyshack too, so who knows?
That's true.
And then it was really annoying, but again, I think the means justified the end here.
I know exactly what you're going to
say. You do it, you tell me.
So I'm assuming Milhouse kicks a rock, and they're like, everything on our planet is alive. Like, apologize to that rock. And he's like, oh, sorry. And he pulls out some flowers, and they're like, oh, those are alive, and you killed them.
Well, she goes, that's Sister Rock. Those are brother flowers.
Yeah. Like, everything's alive, and everything's
related to you. Yeah.
Right. And so Milhouse just starts hitting his head against a tree, and they just go, now you're having sex with Uncle Tree.
Yeah. It's such a weird
It was worth it for the line. Yeah, because
now you're
really,
having
really weird.
sex with Uncle Tree.
Yeah.
And it was such a weird line, and it was funny. This is delightfully weird. This is where it's actually
that's
like,
what
it's so weird. Like, at least they're having fun with it.
And that's actually funny in the context of Avatar, because Avatar was this crazy weird world where like sex was this thing where you tie your braids together or whatever the hell it was in that movie. So it kind of makes sense that banging your head against a tree is like, yeah, you're having sex with Uncle Tree now.
We try to be kind of liberal on this show and open to lots of viewpoints and compassionate towards people.
Yeah.
If you are one of those people that got fucking depressed because the real world is not like Pandora, go kill yourself. Come on. Give me a fucking break. If you're going to be depressed about a movie, at least be depressed about a good movie.
About a better movie. Be depressed that
the world's not like Terminator.
Yeah. There's not Terminators coming back to kill you. I'm so depressed about it.
Oh, God. Give me a break. Like, yes, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break.
I feel like that was a blown out of
Maybe go kill yourselves
story.
a little harsh.
Maybe a little. Maybe don't tell our listeners to go kill themselves.
Go have sex with Uncle Tree.
Yes, that's what you should do.
Then there's some kind of joke where he got his
well, Bart meets and falls in love with an actual Rigelian woman, voiced by Tress MacNeille, who's basically just doing the voice of the Amazons from Futurama.
Yeah.
They're like, loud grunting, talk like this.
Yeah. I really can't stand the Rigelians in big doses.
Yeah, I can't. I'm kind of with you on that, but
it
was interesting that she was Kang and Kodos' daughter. I guess Kang and Kodos are married.
Aren't they brother and sister too?
I have no idea. I don't know how it's working on this planet.
I think they're brother and sister.
Maybe.
But I guess
weird stuff's happening on Rigel 4. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
There's this weird moment. I don't know if this is where you're going, where there's like she gets pregnant.
Yeah. First of all, Bart has sex, which it's an Avatar parody and it's a Halloween episode, but still, come on, guys.
Right, and then he's like, "This is the planet I got laid on." Bart's 10 years old. It's weird. It's just really, really weird. I didn't like it.
Also, he said he compares her to his art teacher.
Yes.
He said something like, "Oh, you sound like my art teacher," because she's talking about all the hippy dippy, the Earth is alive and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's so weird that there was a whole episode where he
impregnates his art teacher through voodoo. Is that what you're alluding to?
Which was later. It's just a weird coincidence, if anything.
Yeah.
But
very,
just
very
weird.
Odd.
They like Bart knocking up art teachers for some reason.
2 episodes now, which is 2 more than you would expect.
I would have expected 0.
Well, here's 2 more than you would expect. There's a really, really weird moment where she gets pregnant after they're boning, and Kang is like, "On our planet, we don't have pickles, and our only ice cream flavor is butter brickle. No pickles, butter brickle." And they just like repeat it.
That?
What the fuck was that? Like, I get it. Pregnant women like to eat weird things like pickles and ice cream, like maybe together, but we're on a different planet. Butter? What the hell? Like.
I don't know.
I don't have words to describe my confusion over what this was.
It's like, it's so, like, when there's a bad episode, you can go, "Oh, this was a bad episode, this was lazy writing, this was this."
Yeah.
We picked apart why things are bad.
Yeah.
But this is almost like, it's too big. It's like Batman in Dark Knight Returns, where it's too big. You can't judge it. That's what Gordon tells the new commissioner. He's like, "You can't judge Batman. He's too big."
Yeah.
This is too dumb. We can't. It's too dumb that I don't even know how to.
I don't know what this is.
I don't know
What
how
is
you
this
just
supposed to
how
be?
did the writers say, "Let's just throw this in there"? I don't.
I would love to know how this came
I can't
about.
conceive of a situation where
No
they
idea.
would think that's okay to put in.
No idea. I don't know what the joke was. Just besides pickle and brickle sound alike. Is that it? Is that where we're at now?
To this episode's credit, they had a lot of fun with the animation with the creatures versus the tech once the war starts.
That's what I was gonna say. There's a huge war with all the like crazy monsters on this Avatar world, fighting like the big mechs, like the end of actual Avatar.
Right.
And the animation was great. I thought there were some really, really funny, like crazy alien animals. There's these giant rabbits. Those were funny. There were these weird dinosaur things that drop eggs that then open to flying piranhas.
It was fun. They were having fun with it.
Yeah, I think the best was there were these squirrels sitting on a tree, and then these 2 like monkey things pick them up, tear their heads off, and throw them, and they're grenades now.
Yeah. It's just like the Sex with Uncle Tree line, in where it's so off the wall
weird, but it was really funny and done well.
What if you took 2 monkeys and they used squirrels as grenades?
Grenades,
It's like an Adult Swim show.
It makes
almost.
sense on a crazy alien world.
Exactly.
It makes sense
grounded.
to do it now.
It's actually grounded. It makes sense. It's funny.
And it relates back to Avatar, because that's what Avatar was. They had these crazy dragon monsters fighting these
And you see how
robots.
that actually works compared to a very straightforward Wile E. Coyote parody, which should work, but not in the right
not
context.
in there, I agree.
It's a shame. There was also a great gag where, so at the end, Chalmers plays the, what's his face?
Steven, I want to say Stephen Root, but I know Stephen Lang. Stephen Lang,
yeah.
The bad guy in Avatar.
Chalmers is playing him.
Right.
And he's in the whatever you call it, the
He's
robot
in
suit.
the big mech suit, yeah.
The mech suit. And he's fighting a creature, so he jumps into a bigger mech suit, which is funny, the idea that you're in a mech suit and another mech suit, although that actually happened just recently in Avengers 2.
Oh, yeah,
Iron Man gets into an Iron Man
I
suit.
didn't even think of that.
But then the creature gets
on top of a bigger creature.
It's such a silly idea.
But it worked. It worked so well.
See how a good silly can work compared to, let's say, the brickle. That's silly.
That was silly.
Stupid.
But just, there was no context for it.
Yeah.
There was just nothing.
It
was just this weird...
Whereas it's like, this makes sense.
Yeah. Another example of a weird thing that didn't make any sense. They were like, at the end, after the battle's over, they're like, "Oh, we don't have pronouns for yours and ours. That's why we didn't enjoy the film. Yours, mine, and ours." What the fuck?
And if, like, the only way that joke could even possibly work is if the movie's somewhat more well-known. Like, I've heard
Yours,
of the
mine,
movie,
and ours?
but come on.
No. Just no. So yeah, then the kind of curtains close, and it looks like we were watching a movie, and everyone comes out.
Bart's in his...
Yeah, Bart comes out of a costume.
As if he was as if they were acting it out like a play.
Right.
Which they did in that last Halloween episode we did in October.
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd parody, I think. Where we were watching a play.
Yeah, they did do that.
Interesting idea.
And it was just, everyone came out as, like, their characters. Like, Flanders was with God, Homer was paralyzed.
Lisa was giving a speech about Christmas and consumerism and stuff,
which
whatever.
Didn't land at all with me. That's just so overdone at this point. Like, now that Halloween's over, it's Christmas time.
And I'm sure there was a way they could
Yeah, there was a whole
work.
movie about that. It was called The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm sure there is a way to make that work. The show can do funny stuff like that.
But when they just stop and turn to the camera and just start talking at you, I just glaze over.
I mean, Marge talks at you at the beginning of one of the best Treehouse Horror
Yeah, but that's different because she's talking about the episode and saying it's violent. It works as both an actual warning and a commentary on those kinds of things.
But yeah, it didn't land. So everybody was in their costumes.
Right.
Grandpa even comes in. The episode ends with a line where he's like, "Can we do the Black Swan now?" And he's dressed up as the Black Swan. And they're all like,
that.
Actually, no, it was okay. But anyway, Willie was there as a full-out cyborg.
Yes.
Like, no
clue.
A lot of his body parts were replaced with robot parts.
Yeah.
Unless it was his play costume. But where was that from?
I have no idea.
The only thing I could think of is it's from a deleted scene.
Yeah. Maybe? I don't know. It was very odd because Willie just walks out as if it's not anything. It's just, and he's a cyborg.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get it.
If we missed something, let us know.
Unless it was like, let's just throw Willie in to be weird, weird for weird's sake. But it's too.
I mean, I guess it could have been something in the background of the Avatar
That's
parody.
what I was thinking.
It wouldn't fit with the other two.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's the end of the episode.
Sorry, Sister Rock.
Now you've murdered our brothers, the Flowers!
Stupid!
Now you're having sex with Uncle Tree!
Okay, so that is it for Treehouse of Horror 22. Took us 17 hours, but we got there. And so now it is time to rank this episode on our Hippo system. We're going to look at the humor, the integrity, the production values, and the originality of the episode. Humor and integrity are weighted more. Scale of 0 to 5, Jack, we're going to put 2 minutes on the clock. Beep. And let's do it. The humor of this episode, 0 to 5 scale. What do you got?
Oh man, I was like listing off all the funny jokes I liked in the first couple segments, and now that we've gone over, once we started realizing how dumb a lot of stuff was, 1.5, maybe 2.
I think you might be right. I think 1.5 is where I'm going to land too, because there were a couple of weird out of context things that were funny. The Uncle Tree thing we really liked. There were a couple of lines in the first segment that we liked, but overall, not a very hilarious episode. The integrity. This is a tough one because it's a Halloween.
Yeah. I liked your idea that the better Simpsons episodes, the Simpsons are still in type and they're put into crazy situations. Whereas
so I'm going to ding it for that.
Why is Homer a serial killer? I guess I'll ding it for that. I'm trying to think. I really want to give an extra point for how we were saying how it was ballsy for the show to be so subversive with the devil being bigger than God, more powerful than God.
Well, is that integrity?
That's what I'm saying. Is that
might be
integrity,
originality.
or is that production, or is that originality? I guess it's originality. Let's say it's originality. So integrity. I don't know, 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't know, 2. That's what I was going to say.
Guys, this is our ranking system is pretty much whose line is it anyway?
Everything's made up.
It's all made up, and the points don't matter.
But let's talk about the production values. If anything's going to be high, I think it's going to be this one, right?
Yeah, like I said, that big battle scene at the end of the Avatar one was great. The Dexter parody I really enjoyed.
Yeah, the beginning of
the theme song. The beginning.
The devil part,
they did a
too.
great job showing the gritty side of Springfield. It felt like the shots they chose was reflected like the noir thing they were going for.
Yeah, I didn't love the 127 hours thing, but it looked good.
Looked fine. 3.5.
I might go 4. I could maybe go to 3.5, but I'm gonna put 4 for now. And finally, the originality of the episode. Nothing but parodies, but that's standard for Treehouse of Horror.
They blew the Dexter parody. It could have been so much better.
Yeah, agreed.
Avatar, I don't know if you could do a good Avatar parody because the movie's just so bland, but I'm sure you could.
I think they could have, I don't know what they could have done that would have been more interesting, but it was not Pickle Brickle, whatever the hell that was.
I'm going to give it an extra. I will give it the extra point here for the subversive God jokes. So
it was pretty original to make farting instead of blinking your eye.
I guess.
I'm not giving it points for that.
2.
I'm just saying.
I'm going to say 2, maybe 2.5. I think I'm going to say 2.
I think I'm going to say 2 also. Okay, so we've crunched our numbers, and Treehouse of Horror 22 has ranked as a slightly better episode than Homer vs. Dignity. That's an interesting one. And a slightly worse episode than Mo Letter Blues, which puts it as number 30 on our list. That actually makes it our best Treehouse of Horror so far.
That's surprising.
That is surprising.
I don't quite remember the older, the Mayoween one, but I remember it was like a season 12 or 13, so it couldn't have been that bad. And I remember the one we did a year ago was painfully bland, but it wasn't aggressively bad. It was just boring. Whereas this one, I would say, was worse than that. But the numbers, they do not lie.
The numbers don't lie, and they are highly, highly scientific.
Super, super accurate. These are the types of numbers that predict what alien megastructures out in space.
Right.
It's like, this star has a dimming factor of 3.5 on the Hippo scale.
Yeah,
obviously,
there's clearly intelligent life out there.
Clearly, a super alien megastructure.
That's what it is.
And not any number of other things it could be, considering how wrong we were about Pluto.
Well, we thought it was a planet, and it's not.
Or just, we didn't even know I didn't realize, we didn't even know what size Pluto was.
Really?
We couldn't tell. We can't tell from this far away, apparently. We thought it was, we were assuming it was a certain size based on its luminosity. And then when the New Horizons got there, it's like, oh, it was bigger, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe it's smaller. I think it was bigger.
Is this your recap of sci-fi?
This is my weekly recap of a podcast I've already listened to. This is a sci-fi recap.
I'm gonna recap Comedy Bang Bang now.
This is Sci-Sat.
Okay, so that is it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever, a spooky edition,
Hey.
Octoween edition. If you have a terrible Simpsons episode that you would like to suggest, you can do that on our website. It's weepodcast.com. That's weepodcast.com. And while you're there, you can do many, many things. You can visit our Reddit. You can check out our Facebook, our Twitter. Follow us on all those things. We really appreciate it. And you can click through our Amazon links. That helps us out a lot. Helps keep the show free. All you have to do is click our Amazon banners and links and then shop on Amazon like you normally would. We get a small fee. And if you really want to support us, you can buy our Sync Points, our movie commentary track for the Simpsons movie. That'll cost you $2. You can definitely find that on weepodcast.com.
Yeah.
So you should do that.
And even if you don't want to listen to it, we're
just
trying
buy
to,
it and don't listen to it.
We're trying to raise money for the show so that we can actually buy our own equipment and stop using friends' equipment and just borrowing it every week.
Yes, borrowing. We please do that. We really appreciate that. Please do that, and if you're in the Brooklyn area, you can come out to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia, which will be 1 week from today. Next week, we're going to do something special, because a lot of you guys requested this. We are going to do another episode from Season 27. That is the current season that's airing right now. We are going to do Halloween of Horrors. That was the episode. It was not a Treehouse of Horror episode. It was a Halloween episode in continuity of the show, which they very, very rarely do. I don't know if they've
never done a Halloween one.
Yeah. So we're going to do that next week, even though it's after Halloween. That's our throwback to old Simpsons where they would always have the treehouse after Halloween. So we're going to do that. Watch that episode. It should be on Hulu. It should be on Simpsons World. Check it out.
2 Halloween episodes in a row.
Yeah, we love Halloween.
We've ran out of ideas.
We ran out of ideas a long time ago. I don't know if we ever had any.
Speaking of which, Dan, are you going to do our cut all this?
Yeah.
No, if you guys want to submit your cats, please do. We've actually finally run out. We have a couple left we're saving from people who've already submitted one.
Yes.
And they've submitted...
We'd like original
they've
listeners.
submitted other ones, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
We like that. But we're going to hold on to those for a rainy day. But we just realized that actually Dan and I have never done a cut all this. So this week, Dan will do it.
All right.
Dan, give us your... This is coming from Dan Mulhall from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Oh.
And this is his cat.
Well,
take it away, Dan.
I'm going to turn it over to the Crypt Keeper.
Thank you, Dan. Cut all this up with an axe.
That's a totally different voice than the voice I used before.
I told you. He's like, can I do the Crypt Keeper? I was like, no, you're not ending the show with the Crypt Keeper.
Goodbye. Or bad bye.
Secret Service, you need to see your tapes. I'm in pursuit, heading west. We got a satellite lock. We're looking for 5 people out of 6 million. Surprised to see me alive? Stop.